Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a pro wrestling logic approach. This is the May 27th, 1995 edition of Superstars of Wrestling Review. We've got nearly 300 of these available for your listening pleasure. Hopefully, you get to that 300 mark. I don't know how often the Peacock Network uploads them, but I know there's at least another solid 18 months or so, maybe, of actual first run content. And then 97, it goes to more of a review level program. Anyway, so we open with Men on a Mission, primarily featuring Mabel to try and get some degree of hype for him with the featuring Doc Hendricks conducting an interview with Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow regarding their match against Psycho Sid and Tatanka, King of the Ring. Also, King of the Ring qualifying match. Kama with Ted DiBiase defeats Duke the Dumpster Droese. Obviously, Kama and Duke Droese, just an interesting match for a number of reasons. Nothing really to write home about as far as match quality, but Kama, such a major force in the WWF closer to the end, but obviously, kind of also the Mabel tries to get Mabel and Mo doing the Men on a Mission thing, trying to get their run in with a squash match here. Super basic deal, and Mabel is able to get a running splash in the corner, and then he's kind of getting ready to win the King of the Ring within what amounts to less than a month. So his single push starts within a couple of weeks there. Do wonder if Mo's injury probably contributes to that big belly-to-belly suplex, and eventually Mabel hits the leg drop and gets a victory there. And obviously, Man on a Mission as heels never really works. They try to get a main event push out of good old Mabel, but it doesn't really go off that well, injuring Kevin Nash in the run. There is a thing. Hype for the Coliseum video and the winning of the In Your House by a young kid out of Florida. Anyway, the King of the Ring qualifying match for Duke the Dumpster Droese and Kama again winning that particular match. Very basic match. Wrist locks, arm bars, and the like. Kama comes up almost looking a little weak as he is competitive with a garbage man here, a Supreme Fighter tattooed all up, looking like $1,000,000, losing to a garbage man is not exactly what most fans are looking to see from their MMA-style fighter in 1995. Dropkick by Droese. Not that there's anything wrong with Duke Droese, and if you are Hannibal here on YouTube is a horrible interviewer, but he does have guys who do interviews with him who tell decent stories. And Duke Droese does have a rather interesting shoot interview on his channel. So if you've never checked it out, worth checking out if you can get by him as an interviewer. Anyway, clothesline win for Kama, and then hype for the King of the Ring coming up. Then we see none other than Dr. Tom Pritchard with Jim Cornette coming out and facing off against Shawn Michaels. Really a decent match. I don't know that these two had ever crossed paths before. I don't think they would have been in the same place to do it very often if they ever did. But anyway, Shawn Michaels in the midst of his babyface run, just a few months in, about a month or two in actually, and Shawn Michaels and Dr. Tom have a pretty good match here, worth going out of your way to see. Michaels kind of walks over his opponent, and Jim Cornette obviously is not the biggest Shawn Michaels fan, but they do pretty well here. Very basic punch kick from Tom Pritchard. The Heavenly Bodies thing does not go fully all the way in the direction he wants to go. We see jabs from Michaels, and ultimately he manages to come around, and some really basic stuff, up and over, and a deep hip toss by Michaels. Michaels, of course, does not go right after Dr. Tom. Interference on the outside from the Heavenly Bodies as they work together as a team, since both Cornette and Del Rey are out there with Pritchard. Goes for an attempted Dr. Bomb, some side headlocks, and some near falls. Works the match down into a chin lock, and Michaels works back to his feet, eventually getting the top rope elbow drop and the super kick and a victory for the Heartbreak Kid. Basic match for the time, but worth going out of your way to see. Very few matches that are really too super strong at the time period. 95, 96, a really rough time in the WWF, unless it's a pay per view or maybe Raw. But the syndicated programs certainly have dropped off quite a bit here. Then we move to the Hunterhurst Helmsley defeating Brian Walsh. Brian Walsh, I guess you'd say a New England standout, or at least a little bit of one. And then we kind of see Hunterhurst Helmsley defeating Brian Walsh. Helmsley does use a modified, does use the pedigree, I believe, for the first time here. Helmsley doing the blue blood gimmick, coming off his time in the uh, coming off his time in the WCW. Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow admit to being teammates and friends going into the King of the Ring, and that tag team main event isn't exactly the best of main events. Back suplex by Triple H in his match is attempted, but Brian Walsh comes up, hits him under the chin. I believe that Walsh may have actually met up with Hunter when Hunter was in Killer Kowalski's um, training school, because Walsh came from that same Massachusetts, New Hampshire area as an independent guy. Walsh does show up in the light heavyweight tournament in 1997 as well. He's around for a pretty good run there. Back suplex by Hunterhurst Helmsley, getting a relatively quick but decisive advantage over his adversary here. Then we see Hunter eventually get the very basic victory there with what eventually is known as the pedigree, and then the Bushwhackers talk about having bad breath, having halitosis, telling Doc Hendricks, well, his name is Doc, so who else would you tell? Skip and Sonny say they are going to debut relatively next week, and Skip and Sonny are looking kind of more like cheerleaders meets Richard Simmons. Techno Team 2000, Eric Watts, and Chad Fortune, aka I think it's Troy and Travis of the Techno Team 2000, trying to do some sort of futuristic gimmick, which doesn't necessarily go all that well. Brooklyn Brawler and Barry Horowitz are their opponents for the day. Super basic things along the way, and hits a couple of basic deals there, and deep arm drags along the way here, which ultimately gives them a certain, kind of a deep arm drag, and ultimately they get a series of arm drags. The Techno Team 2000 also do a crossbody and a modified moonsault press, kind of a jackhammer into a crossbody sort of maneuver, and getting the victory there. Techno Team 2000 in their television debut, which I don't know that they last very long as a team. They might even be gone in less than 6 months. I believe, if I remember correctly, that Chad Fortune blew out his knee or somehow injured himself. Hype for the Hall of Fame as part of the King of the Ring weekend or something like that. It was still in June back at that time, not part of Mania at that point. But we'll be back with more right after this.